And we're now happy to be joined in studio by artist and fine jewelry maker Sharon Chandally Pedrini, who is here with some pieces showing the influence of Yemenite jewelry and her heritage in her art, fusing the ancient with the modern. Hello and welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you again. So explain how you got started in jewelry making. I know your parents, you're 100% Yemenite Jew. Your parents born in Israel, moved to New York. So you grew up in Manhattan, very far away from Israel. How did this profession find you?
Well, this profession actually did literally find me because I wasn't intending on doing jewelry in the first place. I started off doing musical instruments. I was making them out of metal and wood, so I had to take a jewelry class, even though I didn't want to, just to learn the metalworking side of it.
You came to Israel and you really were like an apprentice with your great uncles. Explain that whole experience. You came to Jerusalem and you're sitting with people that are really the legacy of this culture in Jerusalem.
Exactly. So I was actually in New York. I was doing jewelry over there, but I felt like my jewelry was very inspired by New York. It was more architectural, more straight lines, and I really felt like it was hard for me to just connect to what I really wanted to do. So I asked my uncle to arrange for my two great uncles to teach me, and basically I just sublet my apartment and studio in Brooklyn, just came here quickly, and I had two great uncles that taught me. One was in Ramat Gan, and he actually really taught me hands-on. And then I had another great uncle in Jerusalem that I went to who also taught me.
Wow. So explain the technique, from the way you learned it, because listen, the Yemenite jewelry is really priceless. It's really one of, you don't see it, it's so unique.
Yeah.
You could look at a piece and you just know what is it about, like filigree and some of the other techniques that really are, talk about the history of this culture for so many centuries in Yemen.
Yeah. So filigree is a very ornate technique. It's very labor intensive. So I think that that's really what characterized it. It just really takes a lot of detail and attention to all the little negative space and everything that goes into it. So I think that that's really.
And what is filigree exactly? It's like wire, because I see we have some pieces here. So I imagine some of the round wires are the filigree.
Filigree is the actual technique. Mm-hmm. So it's a type of wire work. It's a way of using wires.
So how we see the pieces here. We see you working with the fire, but you literally have to maneuver it with your fingers in a very small space.
Fingers and little tools, and you really work in the small scale. So
explain also the kind of the method behind your work, because you want to just bring the old and merge it with the new. So explain in some of the pieces that we see here how it's really combining, and you see it's also very geometric. Talk about the pieces in the collection.
Okay. So basically what I do is I take what I learned from two of my great uncles and I incorporate my own shapes to them. I make them more contemporary. I love asymmetry and texture and negative space. So I brought a few pieces that show the inspiration and the way that I use my great uncle's work, because they actually left me some unfinished pieces, and tools. So this is the way I translate them into my own contemporary pieces.
And how does the process work for you? Like, does it take a lot of kind of illustration? You have to kind of write it down first, or you literally just go into your studio, you turn on the burner, and you just go?
Exactly. I just go.
And how does it come to you? Is it just must come from a higher source?
I'm sure. Yeah. There's, I just need the time. That's all that I need.
That's always the hardest thing to do, right?
Exactly.
Because you look at the history in Yemen, you see like and a lot of people. It's you, yourself, and you doing this, doing this all the time. Is there any of these pieces here that we see in particular that kind of demonstrates what we're talking about? I know you had like a ring, which I know we can't pick. We could see where you see some of the raw materials. Maybe you could point to it.
Exactly. So over here we can start at the end. There's the twisted wire, and you can see how I took the twisted wire, and those earrings are actually also inspired by Alexander Calder. So it's also using the Yemenite technique, but the diamond dances in the middle. The shape is very different, but the shape, the twisted wire, which is a classic filigree motif, is the framework for all of that.
Wow, it's just incredible. You can see how much work goes into it. And before we go, I know you also have something very exciting. You're also incorporating this. You got a grant to do like a sculpture at Burning Man. Next year's Burning Man also inspired. Tell us quickly about that before we go.
Yes, so I am actually the zigzags that come from my great uncles inspired large-scale sculpture. It's going to be over 9 feet tall. I'm very fortunate to have received the honoraria grant from Burning Man. So it's coming to life. The jewelry is
bringing a bit of Israel to Burning Man.
Yes,
that is so cool, incredible.
Yes.
So that's
it's a big piece
taking
of
up a lot of your time. Exactly. It's not something we're going to be putting around our neck. Thank you so much for coming and showing us your wonderful work. And for people that want to check it out, go to Chandally.com. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.